Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you are doing well. Thank you so much for coming along for this ride. Oh, man. What a trip. All right, my watch is going off saying you better get back to your office. Let me check the audio levels here and just to see how things look and sound. Be a good streamer, and if you're doing it yourself, you got to check your own audio levels. So you have to take time to do that or put an ear in or something. But we will do that right now. Whoops, not switch accounts. I just want to view my channel. All right, so there it is. All right, sounds good to me. You guys let me know what is going on. My buddy Sean, what is going on? I saw Sean at the show. That was so cool. I was not expecting to run into you. I know you told me you were going to be there, but I totally was not expecting you just to appear. And, of course, you caught me right outside the bird dog booth, so well done. So that would have been Monday I ran into you. Well done, and hopefully you've enjoyed the show. I see that you are currently waiting for your airport shuttle. I have been there. We were home yesterday. We actually left Tuesday afternoon after lunch, shortly after lunch, which we spent the whole time up until about 1 o'clock at the show on Tuesday, and then we got lunch at the airport and came home. Had a fairly uneventful flight all the way home. It's a long way over to Nashville from Las Vegas. It's a 3.5-hour flight, which is pretty long. I mean, it's not too much further to LAX from there, right? Which is where I would have gone if I was flying out to Melbourne or something. But it was kind of a long stretch. And then, we've been home for a day and a half now. So that's been kind of nice. Hopefully you've enjoyed the end of the show. Also, Sean, so did the attendance really drop off on Thursday or on Tuesday and Wednesday? Because I watched the VMix live show yesterday, and there did not appear to be many people on the floor. Maybe that was just like in that corner of the hall, but it just seemed like there were not very many people still there. So I don't know, but curious to know if it was still packed or if people had kind of moved on. I know the first 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, there were lots of people. So the airport wasn't extremely busy, but I did see, there were lots of people that I met in the lines for the airplane and airport that were all coming out of the show and headed home. So interesting end to the show. Now, we have just got back from NAB, and there was so much stuff to talk about because, there was just so much to see. And I kind of last year the feature, excuse me, I'm going to eat my snack here while we chat. Last year the theme was AI, from what I could tell, and that is what everybody was talking about. But then, this year I saw some of that, but not everyone was talking about that. Like some of the camera companies were still like, hey, we've really improved the AI in our camera following AI tracking stuff, which is good. Some of them were like, we're using AI to create Unreal Engine environments for green screens. That was kind of cool. But it was not like the flagship topic of the day. So it seemed like this year was more of like what I kind of expect NAB to be, which is a networking and an understanding and a clarification of what current products are. And the way that I look at our trip, and I think my coworker Dave also feels this way, is like we went just to kind of see what we could see, but we found out a lot of stuff about the equipment we already had. We found out a lot about upcoming equipment, things that will be available soon, and then kind of like this creative space of what could be. And so we had these like 3 sections, and various booths taught us various things. If you follow my YouTube channel, if you follow my YouTube channel, you saw me updating things. I was a day delayed. I'd shoot all the videos and then I would post them the next day. And on YouTube, I actually fat fingered it and put it the first day a little day late. So that was annoying, but no big deal. It didn't get like thousands of views. So it was just a handful. I don't think I missed anybody critically, but all of the videos for, let's see. So the Sunday videos were all basically posted Sunday night because I realized that I was late. So they were all posted at the same time on Sunday night. I'm sorry, Sunday videos would have been posted Monday night. Yes. And then Monday's videos were then staggered on Tuesday, and Tuesday's videos were staggered on Wednesday. So anyway, all that to say, I did post some stuff up, try to kind of keep you guys in the loop as to where I was in the show. We tackled North Hall first, and we just walked with the crowd. We didn't really plan it this way, but we walked with the crowd, and it worked out really well because we actually missed the major crowds on day one with the major booths, which in our world would have been Blackmagic and Canon and a few other places. Now, Canon, they were in the North Hall, and we got there on day one, but by the time we got to Canon, it wasn't like super overrun. But then day two, we were in South Lower, and we saw Blackmagic, and we saw Bird Dog, and we saw a handful of other guys in that hall. And then on Tuesday, we were in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, on day three, we went to West Hall. We did a lap. I saw Viz RT, saw Jeremy Morris for like a hot second, just like shook his hand, said hey. And we went over to Peplink and had a 30-minute conversation at Peplink, which I'm going to get into either today or during a show, because that's some big stuff there that we discovered. And then we went right back to South. So then we went to South and we went back to Blackmagic. We ended up visiting Blackmagic 3 times. The first time we were there for 2.5 hours. The second time was 30 minutes, and the third time was 30 minutes. And each of those subsequent times, we weren't just wandering around. We had specific questions that we needed answered. So the booth was kind of, by the time we got to Blackmagic, it was opening bell on Monday, and they were busy, and they had keynotes and whatever, a whole stage area, lots of things to look at. We didn't even see half of them, to be honest with you. But we saw the ones that we were interested in. So I'm going to move my camera here because I'm kind of I'm not syncing, but I'm not in frame. Okay. So we definitely had a chance to really kind of discover what it is what solutions they have coming that would help us achieve what we want to do. So kind of excited about that. Let me follow up here in the chat real quick before I keep going. It's a bit longer of a flight out here from New York. I'm still bummed I missed this year. Yeah, Steven, it was a really good show, and I'm going to talk about a bunch of it. West and North halls were empty. South was still pretty busy. Okay, no, that's where Blackmagic and Bird Dog and VMix were in the South Lower, right? So, yes, North Hall had a lot of stuff to see, Canon, whatever, but the South Hall seemed to be where that's where we hung out. We went back to the South Hall. We made a hike on Tuesday because West Hall is on one side of the convention center and South Hall is on the other, and you have to walk all the way around, and it takes you 15-20 minutes just to walk between the two. Good morning, Angus. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Good morning, John. I'm assuming that this is a Bird Dog employee, Mr. Boyd. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Did you sign up for not Iron Man, Tough Mudder, or did you just come back from one? I know you're either coming or going, because that's something you do. But I saw some posts, and you're still doing it. So well done. Good to see you. Thanks for coming back on the show. And I did go by Bird Dog. I did see your coworkers this week, and that was fun to catch up with them and get to see the new product line and all that. So you would have a very interesting opinion, although I probably couldn't talk about it here publicly on the show. You'd have an interesting opinion on how things are going in the repair world, because you are the repair guy. So be very fast. We should have a little chat, maybe a text message, find out how things are going for you. All right. So yeah, we had a really busy time and spent 3 days on our feet. Very few places to sit down. And I'm going to share some photos here. I'm going to go actually to my NAB album so that you don't look through my whole family. My whole family album. I have an ongoing album in Amazon Photos called NAB shows. And they are a collection of pictures over the years, going back to 2019, of times that I was at the show. So I took more pictures in 22, but this year I wasn't working a booth, and so I was able to take a whole bunch of photos. So just for funsies, I'll share some of this stuff. Hey, I'm muddling along. I'm headed out to stream a press conference in a couple minutes. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. And thank you to Angus and to a whole bunch of you who struggled through my testing phases of recording audio off of my hat. I was using my X5 microphone, which is a really small form factor microphone, taped into my hat with some black Ursa tape, which performed phenomenally, and I can chat about that another day. And then that wire ran through my hat, down the back of my neck, and directly into my F1 field recorder from Zoom. And so I will do an audio comparison day where I show you the difference between my phone audio and the audio from the F1. I didn't do much in terms of change the audio off the F1 other than reduce the decibels a little bit in post. And so it's basically the raw feed minus about 2.5 decibels. So much appreciated. That made the videos, I think, way clearer to hear. And they're crystal clear. And also, it did a lot in terms of rejecting other sounds. Like, there were people all around me talking. And it's pretty much just me. So, thumbs up. Thanks for helping out. I loved it. Yeah, your hat audio from NAB was top-notch. Thank you. And again, it comes back to this show. You guys helped me figure that out. We struggled through that for like 3 shows. And yeah, I taped it into the hat. That Ursa tape doesn't rub, so it's comfortable to wear. And it's also black, and so it disappeared in the hat with the video, and that worked great. It wasn't noticeable, I don't think. So Tough muttered 12 hours in Atlanta on 4/26. Okay, that's 2.5 weeks away, man. Time to, I'm sure you're conditioned already, but good luck. That sounds like that's exciting. Steven says, hey, it was remarkably a clean sound. Honestly, one of the best from the show. Oh my goodness. What a comment. Thank you. I wasn't going to go there, but I was very happy with it. And again, I'll do a compare and contrast for you guys so that you can hear the phone audio, which sucked, and then the audio off the F1. And I did not go through the Rode transmitters. I just went directly into the top of this, which was beautiful because it's a threaded jack, and the microphone is a threaded microphone. So I could lock it in there all day. And then I had my in-ears, my ME Pros, my M6 Pros from Me Audio. I had them just plugged in here, and both of those ran down my shirt, between my undershirt and my whatever shirt I was wearing, and then out the side of my pants, and this was clipped onto my belt. On most days, I had actually fed it through so that it wouldn't go anywhere. It did cause a bit of an issue, though, because I had a side bag. You'll notice in the videos I'm wearing like a sling bag, which is where I normally put my big DSLR. Well, I didn't take my DSLR. Based on recommendations from you, I only took the Flow Pro 2 from Insta360, and I have, quite frankly, only good things to say. A couple of learning curve things, but man, was it easy to use and light. And I really enjoyed it. I barely touched the battery. I think I got down like 80%, down to 80% on any given day. But I recorded a bunch of stuff. You saw everything that I recorded over the course of 3 days. I wasn't constantly recording, but when it was time, I just powered it up, oriented myself, tracked my face, and off I went. And there are some features in there that we can talk about what really made it work for me. But big shout out to the Insta360 Flow Pro 2. That was great as a camera op. So, hey, threaded connections for the win. I agree. I was very happy with the threaded connections. So, thumbs up. I'll do that for basically all videos that I'm going to end up producing in the future in the field, whenever that is. Wish I was going to Infocom. We're not planning on it, but that would be another good one to go to for this job. And I will go into in-depth about all the things that we're thinking about with each of the booths over the next several weeks, but today is just kind of like a let's get started on what we saw. Lightweight is the trick when you're walking the show floor for so many hours. Okay, let's chat about that for a second. So day one, I took my laptop and my iPad and in a backpack. And then we were like collecting like booklets and pamphlets. So it was nice to like, hey, put those in the backpack. And then I had some snacks, which I'm actually still eating. I packed a whole bunch of stuff just to kind of keep my energy up. And that was all great, except by about lunchtime, my shoulders were on fire. And my coworker, Dave, was like, I'm just going to bring my phone and my pass and try to just run light. And so day two, on Monday, I definitely dumped everything but my over-the-shoulder bag and like all the weight. So I got rid of a lot of weight and just had the bare essentials, and it was so much better. So lesson learned, don't think you're going to carry around a backpack all day. Only run a sling bag. And the sling bag had lots of room in terms of like if we need to roll up a paper or something, put it inside, no problem. But it was just overkill. I love the Insta360 cameras. I bought 2 at the show. Go 3S's and X4. Really? I did a video, you probably saw it, or maybe you haven't yet, but on YouTube I have a video about Insta360. And of course, I was going to the show, as many of you know, hoping to see an announcement for a 1-inch lens. And the first gal I talked to was, let's say, not local. And she understood for the most part what I was talking about, but didn't really. But the second guy I talked to was one of their keynotes on their stage. And I found that out after I was done talking to him, but I looked at his tag at the end. And he's like, I'm actually just working the booth for Insta360. I'm just one of their keynotes talking about video production. But he was able to be quite frank with me about they haven't given up on the 1-inch concept, but they don't have anything kind of in the hopper right now. And so he said, don't expect anything up until maybe the fall, but good chance maybe next year. Which is fine because I can actually get away with my Evo for another year. For all the things that we're going to do this summer, I can probably get away with the Evo for another year and be okay with that. So I'll save my pennies and I will hold out for a 1-inch for another year. But, man, I really hope they come up with, and I was like, look, there's one guy in the world that really wants a 1-inch and it's me. And this lens, I need it for low light performance. And he said, yeah, even the former 1-inch camera that was, it performs better in low light than the X4. But he said, but the X4 has such larger resolution now that it kind of competes. And so he's like, if that's not something you care so much about, the X4 will be cheaper and it will perform pretty well. But he said, but yeah, if you're getting into VR and you're doing stuff at nighttime, a 1-inch lens would be really convenient. So I'm still on the fence. I was like, well, if they don't come out in a year, I'll get an X4. But if they do, I will definitely be checking that out. So X4 is a good way to go. And you went with the Go 3. That's kind of cool. Insta360. I'm curious, Sean, what is your application for the Go 3? Because, man, the tiny action camera, I'm always scratching my head, though, as to, like, what's the market? Like, what's the application for this? Because I find chest-mounted cameras are still kind of like a weird perspective. I don't mind putting it on like a hat because it's kind of like you're seeing what I'm seeing, just a slightly higher. But I don't know. I don't know what your use case is here, and I'd be very interested to know. Are you a extreme sports guy? Do you go a lot of adventures? I don't know. It was the question that I asked the speaker for 360. I was like, I'm very confused by why you guys are getting into the GoPro space, because GoPro kind of went belly up. and they're still out there, but they just don't have that like vibe anymore that they used to. And so like, why are you guys pushing hard in the GoPro space? Because that's not, I don't think that's where your market is. And he was like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know why they're going. I said, but the 360 space, that's unique. That's where you shine. And I said, and then there are guys that are like really into it and want a good camera, but don't want to spend like $15,000 on the Globe for, where is it here? The enterprise level stuff. They had these guys available products. They had them at the show. Maybe it's under the professional realm. Yeah. Pro 2, $5,000. They were showing these, and I was like, "Gee, that's so stinking cool. That's 3D VR, and those files would be massive. But man, they would be so cool to work with. When I have fun money, when I just have like too much money, I don't know what to do with. Whenever that day is, I would get something like this, but it's just way too far, way too far out of reach. Pretty cool little device though. Little like they look like a little Star Wars droid, So that'll be kind of fun. Anyway, I will. Let me jump back to socials real fast so that make sure I'm not missing too much here. It's just tiny. I do have the hat mount. It's easy, lightweight. A walk around the strip yesterday, and it wasn't noticeable that I even had a camera. That's cool. I do like that. As you guys found out, I love the fact that my audio was really inconspicuous. I didn't do any interviews. I thought I might like do some interviews, but I know what's going to happen is we're going to get a flood of interviews online, and it's the same speech from everybody. So I wasn't really interested in that. What I did find out is when we were at the Blackmagic booth, they had like specialists for a whole bunch of things. And again, I'll do a whole Blackmagic booth show, I think, next week. But they definitely had like specialists for certain things. And no one was an expert in everything, which was fine. But then when you go to the booth, if you're going to interview somebody, you're going to interview the person that's doing the new ATEM Mini, the HDMI Mini Gen 2. Or you're going to find somebody that's doing just cameras or just comms or just encoding, decoding or whatever. So you talk to the engineer that's kind of like working those things, but there's not like one guy that's going to give you a good overview of everything except for Grant, who is at the show. I didn't actually see him, but Grant's the owner and he's on all the announcement videos. He would be a good guy to know at least the majority of the stats for all of his products. And he does come across in his videos, which I watched the 2.5 hour one for the announcements for this year yesterday. And yeah, I'm sure he's got a cheat sheet or a teleprompter or something, but he definitely does a good job presenting his products and really going over the technical specs. So let's cut over to some photos here, and I can show you kind of what it was that. So I'm on a kind of more of a specific diet these days, and so I need to eat more protein, vegetables, less carbs. And one of the places to do that is In-N-Out Burgers, which is right there on the Lynx Promenade Strip. And this was a very convenient place because not only was it quick protein, but also you could customize the burgers however you wanted, but also you could order multiples and it would all be under $20. So that was kind of nice. Nice to have a food option that wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg to eat, whereas everywhere else that we ate definitely cost us an arm and a leg. So Dave and I we flew out of B&A, which is Nashville, and here we are waiting at the airport for us to take off. And then when we got to Vegas, we actually ate outside. Sorry, the subscription bumper is going to keep going off here. We actually ate outside and down by the fountains, and that was kind of a cool place. But there's no seating inside In-N-Out Burger, that's for sure. Let's keep going here. So then, opening day, we stayed at the Link, which is a place that Bird Dog used to stay at. They actually stayed in Westgate this time, which is within walking distance of the convention hall. But yeah, we stayed at the Link, so we got coffee in the morning. I got coffee. Dave got something to eat breakfast wise, and then the opening of the show, the bell, was we were in North Hall the first day, and so I'm just going to click through these. These are all safe for you to see. So we were in North Hall the first day. So the bell went, and a lot of microphones, audio equipment. It was in North Hall, so Sennheiser was there. Actually, the first day we talked to a guy named Jim. There's Dave and me ready to go into the show. So the first day we talked to Jim Pace, and he was from Sanken Microphones. And this was really cool. He had a live demo. It was inside, but of shotgun microphones. And we were talking about, hey, what are some ways that we could use a shotgun microphone, something that's really good at rejecting interior sounds, but would be inconspicuous, so that we could remove the microphone that we use for people to talk to. Instead, we just wanted them to kind of have like a talking zone, and they just stand on an X, and that's where they talk, and there's no microphone in the way. And so we talked to him for quite a while. This gentleman is Will Waters. He works for Dante Audio, and he's one of their product developers, and had a bunch of products that he is the lead developer on at the show. And so I did go by the Dante booth. I knew he would be around on Monday, or on Sunday and Monday, and so went over there. And he just recently had a kid, so he's now up to 2. And he's a very busy guy, but an extremely knowledgeable guy. And Will Waters, I basically owe my career in the NDI world to him, because Bird Dog called him and said, hey, do you know anybody that could run support for us? And he said, yeah, I know a guy. And he gave him my name. So that's Will, and I owe him a very big debt of gratitude. So we took a couple pictures with him. We went over there was like a lighting booth. It was a Chinese company. I don't actually have the name of the company that this booth was with, but they were using these Swit motorized, what are they called? Pentagrams. And this is what we want to mount our PTZs to. We want to mount them in the ceilings and have these accordion style motorized DMX enabled motors. They're actually not really that expensive. I thought they were going to be more than what they are, but they're not. And you just, these were kind of thrown up in a hurry for the show, but you could really make these look nice. And it's a DMX controller, meaning that you could turn them on and off with a switch from your booth or from an X Keys or whatever. And what this would do then would allow your audience to come in and sit down, and then when it's time for service to start, or the lecture or the class, whatever, you could lower PTZs down to almost eye level and have them a lot closer, instead of mounting them in the back of the room where PTZs are always mounted. And I got this idea off of a Bird Dog stories that we had back from somebody in Amsterdam, I think. And he had a lecture hall, a very famous lecture hall, that he mounted them to these sort of devices and would lower them down when the show was about to start. And then his cameras could be a lot closer, and they wouldn't have to, degrade the image a whole bunch just to get close enough to the subject. So I'm probably going to push to do this in the next 6 months in our space, and change where our PTZ locations are. At the end of the day, we went by the Canon booth, and they, of course, have like $1 million worth of lenses sitting under glass. So that's what this is. A whole lot of glass sitting under glass. That's a ton of money right there, and some big boys. So, here's my hotel room in the Link. Some of these photos you probably don't care about. And then we went down to see the fountains at the Bellagio. And so I took some pictures of us just kind of down on the strip. And we went down to the Bellagio, and I actually did take a video of that. But here we are waiting for the waterworks to start. So that's kind of fun. But the Bellagio is that classic Ocean's 11 hotel where they stand there and wait. So good stuff. Hello from Winnipeg. What's going on, Randy? Good to see you. Hey, that was such a neat system. Yes. And then right as service is ending, like if we're finishing up, we could raise the cameras up, and then when the audience stands up, they're not in the way. So I'm all about that. We're totally gonna do that. On day 2, I didn't take many pictures on day 2, but on day 2, I did a lot of video on day 2. That was the day that we were in South Lower. And so we were able to, again, at the bell, everybody started walking in. I thought this was a cool shot. There's like a type that goes to this show, right? Like, look at all the tech guys. You can see like a sea of tech guys. But anyways, this was South Lower on day 2 for us, so Monday. And on this day, we went by Blackmagic's booth, and we found this lens, an 18 to 80 millimeter servo lens. And it retails for about $8,000. That is ridiculous for most people, but in our world, buying the right lens and the one you need is really where it's at, because we would like to put this on the camera, the Blackmagic 6K Studio. This is an EF mount. We'd be able to put that on our camera and then use the servo with the zoom handle that Blackmagic sells. And so that would get our camera ops off of the lens business. We get camera 1 for sure, able to do slow zooms and all of that. So I know that seems like a lot of money, but we would just save up for it and then invest in a nice piece of glass. There was also another type of lens. This is a different mount altogether and a totally different lens, but it has the little cradle underneath, and that actually moves the lens zoom. So you can use the handle. I didn't find out exactly what one this is, but it's a very specific lens, and the motor only works with this one because, as you can see here, there's an additional set of teeth that it goes along. Same concept, it's only like a few $1,000s, not 8 like the other one. So if it came in the right lens configuration, we totally do something like that. It doesn't have to be the servo one, but it's nice that the option's there. Here's Dave monkeying around with one of the cameras. They had, of course, live actors on stage, or maybe Blackmagic employees, where you could then manipulate each of the cameras. And they had the micro camera all the way up to the 17K camera. And you could play with any of them. So that was kind of fun. This is kind of our rig. Like, this is kind of what it looks like. And so we both got our hands on being able to feel how good the servos are, how good the zoom is, and functionality when it comes to focus and all of that. So that was a fun little experiment. I think that might be everything for that day. We did go over to Live View, and we talked to them. Live View has always seemed like a little pricey to me, and then at the end of the show, we decided that probably Live View is not where we're going to end up, because the subscription level and the rental of the equipment and everything just is going to end up being just way too much. But they have some really cool solutions for things where you would buy an encoder and a decode, essentially like a pathway. But then LiveView allows you to pass your network through almost like a VPN tunnel. So it could be local network, DHCP network out in the field, just like it is in your home of operations. So that's kind of nice. But there are some actual less expensive solutions that do the same things. And then we went back to Blackmagic because we discovered a guy that I'll give him a shout out. He's actually in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's called sociallyu.com. And SociallyU is basically an all-in-one package of these guys that will take video. It will do green screen of your interview, but then put them in a very interesting location. And instead of doing an Unreal Engine render, they go and film a location, and then they give you that as an option. So if you want to, have a dark factory background, or you want to have an industrial background, or you want to have an office background, or a church background, or whatever you want, they will go and source those videos, film them for you, and then film your subject in their studio, their green screen studio, but then impose them. And so you can see here on the master output, this gal was not sitting in this place, but they filmed the background and then they put that in as the green screen. which makes it look so much better. Now, there's a lot going on here with this, and this is what I actually really love about this is the green screen studio is set up exactly like the background. They go and they film the background, but they set a chair and the camera and the light in the exact spot where it is in the studio. And then they film the background with all the reflections and everything. And then they film the subject in their studio, and then they put the two together, which means that you just need to come to their studio and record, and then they'll take care of the rest. Now, that's all well and good, except when you find out how much has to happen behind the scenes. First thing is you need to have a hyperdeck per camera, and you need to have a hyperdeck per background. And then you need to have an ultimate 12 4K per background. So you have to have 3 devices for every shot that you have. So that, drives the price up considerably. But if you're only doing a 2 or 3 camera shoot, you could probably get away with 20 grand and then be able to virtualize every single interview that you do. And you'd have a crew that would go around and film interesting locations and compile a library. But then when your lecturer, pastor, whoever says, hey, I want to do this lesson, but I want to do it from the chalet in Colorado that we filmed at. He just sits in the recording studio, does his lesson, but the background is the chalet in Colorado, and it looks really, really clean, really interesting. Everything's recorded in 4K, 6K, and so it's super crispy. The fade, the lighting it matches the subject because the lighting's the same in the studio as it is on location. Now, you really have to set that up intentionally and stick with it, or have a testing phase. Do I like this? Do I like this? Do I like this? Because when you go and you film on location for your backgrounds, you would have to set up your lights the same way, and then that would be it. You couldn't use it in a different lighting configuration. So, that would be a very, very interesting way to do it. Oh, Unify in the Blackmagic rack. Interesting. I'm always on the fence about whether Unify is a hobby level or a pro level gear. This was the Socially You guys, so that's what they were using here. Yes, it is Unify. I don't know if that was recommended to them from Blackmagic. No idea, but maybe. Anyway, it was a really cool idea, and we will talk more about that on a show because that validates some serious time. So we need to talk about that, but yeah, it'll be really good. On day 3, on Tuesday morning, we decided to go to the West Hall. We walked around West Hall, didn't really see too much that we were really interested in. A lot of small vendors, pretty quiet on Tuesday morning, to be honest with you. But I knew that Peplink was in the hall, and so I wanted to go and see them. Peplink, if you're not familiar with them, and by the way, today's non-sponsor, of course, Ember Mugs, brought to you by, Ember Mugs. Keep your coffee hot and your creamer curdled. Funny thing about the show is we only got swag from one place, and that was Resi. And that is actually the shirt that I'm wearing today is a shirt from Resi. Nice, simple design. Fits really well. And I thought maybe there'd be more swag at this show, but we're current customers with them, and so the gal gave us a shirt and a pair of I got some Argyle socks that say Resi on them. So we'll show those one day. Anyway, so we went to Peplink, and they are basically a way that you can take cell data, okay, SIM cards, and turn it into internet and have some redundancy built in. But their interfaces also include WAN ports. They also include cell data. They also include, various things. So if you had mobile Starlink and you had a Verizon and AT&T service, hotspot service, you could plug them all into the same device, and it will combine those services to send packets across the cloud and then down to your location. And that is really what we want to do with our remote service, because our minister goes around and travels around and visits with people in all sorts of places in the country. Starlink Mobile would probably do pretty well, probably give us 5 up. And then if we were to add cell coverage to that and maybe hotel wireless, which you can add, then that gives you the ability to really make a solid connection and bring one or two cameras across and bring it into your studio. So more on this configuration. We talk about Blackmagic, more on this configuration when we start actually building this out. But this is like now within 12 months, this is what we're going to be doing. And so I'm pretty excited about this. Peplink was a great conversation to have because they have some solutions. This hardware is not very expensive in the scheme of things. It's still a couple $1,000, but like for what Live View wanted, this was well within our wheelhouse. And so this unit right here, actually, which is I believe the BR2 Pro, this is the one that we're seriously looking at. You can put in two different WAN connections, so Starlink and hotel internet. It connects to Wi-Fi as an incoming signal. It can also act as an access point so that you can have internet wherever you are. So our keynote and the tech guy would connect to this and not to like hotel Wi-Fi. And then you can also add cellular data. So this one supports, I believe, 4 carriers, but it starts with 2 as default. So you can have Verizon, AT&T. You put those SIM cards in there at $40 a month or whatever each, and you're up and running, which of course you can turn those off and on again. So we're thinking about doing like an on the road series, but him actually preaching live on Sundays from those remote locations. This would be the backbone that we would do that with. So we're pretty hyped about this because we've heard good things about Peplink, and we definitely think that this is the solution that we want to run with. So again, as we start buying things and configuring things and whatever, we will bring you more up to speed. They even had like a drop ship case that's airport approved. You could run it off a DC power or the battery that's on the roof there. These antennas are 5 decibels each, whereas the big one is 8 decibel increase. So really some good connections here. As you can see, he's got his LAN ports plugged into then waterproof LAN ports on the outside of the box, and then he's got 2 antennas, and basically he was like, power it up and it starts to work. So that is a really cool idea. I would probably build my own or add it to a freight case or a shelf or something like that. But this is the kind of idea, is it's meant to be turn the power button on, and you're up and running type of situation. So really kind of a neat concept. So we went there on Tuesday, was able to kind of see some concepts. We did go back to Blackmagic and looked at their Unreal Engine renderings of what they're using the Ultimate 12 for. Very impressive. It just isn't real. It's fake. It's rendered. And I want it to be real. And that's been my major complaint with green screens over the ages, is like it just looks hokey, is the way that socially you put it, and I agree. It looks fake. We all remember the early TriCaster days where they had their news desks set up, and I was monkeying with that back in the day. And even like vMix has a keyer and everything. But this is a professional keyer, this Ultimate 12. It's a professional keyer, and the unit there to the right, the actual control panel, is just an interface for the Ultimate 12, but you can do everything on a web UI. So I told Dave, I said, well, like just to get started, we should roll this out for, our devotionals and stuff, which is just a single camera on forward, create the actual green screen studio, but then eventually probably get to where we're doing this all the time. Because the slogan for our Safe Harbor is we're with you wherever you are, meaning that we can also be wherever we need to be or wherever we want to be. And we're really kind of interested in, man, this opens up some creative opportunities to really take us to a next level of production. So pretty interested in that. Pretty excited about what options we have through Blackmagic. This is all through Blackmagic, and we asked, like, will our cameras do this? And they're like, oh yeah, those are great cameras for this. So cool. I'm down for that. I will give a little shout out here. I did get a photo with the man, Dan the man from Bird Dog, and had a great chat with him about what's up with Bird Dog, what they're doing right now. And so, it's his baby, it's his business. So there's lots to talk about with Bird Dog, and we'll probably do a show on that in a couple of weeks. But yeah, lots to cover with Bird Dog and where they're at and where they're going. So pretty happy. I did see CJ and Frank and Jamie and Monty and Josh and a whole slew of guys. I saw Cameron, who I didn't really get to work with too much, but Cameron's there, and a couple other guys that were kind of Phoebe. Finally met Phoebe, who works in Australia. I actually got to shake her hand. She was doing marketing and a handful of other things. So man, what a good time to catch up with them and see them, and they are doing well. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun to kind of run into them. And Dave gave me a chance to visit with them a little bit. He got talking with CJ about their product line, and so that was kind of fun to see them kind of engage on that level. But man, NAB was just, there's so much. I've got so much now. I did the overview, and we're already 45 minutes into this show, which is why I'm going to take it a booth at a time. And that's going to give us a lot of time to actually talk about, what we saw. I drank a lot of coffee on the way to the venue, but at NAB, everything costs $7, right? It's like, you want a bottle of water? I bought an unsweetened iced tea. It's not even like the sugar one, and they charged me $6.50 for it. So you don't really. I need to find my travel water bottle, because that would have been great to have. Just to have water through the day that didn't cost me an arm and a leg. Just fill it up in the hotel. But you also, do you drink the hotel water in Vegas? I don't know. I don't know if I trust it. One of the places that we should look at real quick is this booth, the Sanken booth, about the microphones. The Sanken microphone booth that we went to on day one, and we met Jim Pace. Excellent dude. If you are looking for somebody, look up Jim Pace, Sanken microphones. He is very knowledgeable, has a passion for what it is that he does, and was amazing at showcasing the power of these Sanken microphones. And I was very impressed. He was able to show us live demos. We had headphones on. We were on the floor, and he'd walk around the microphones and say, now listen how this performs, and listen how this performs. And it was a great demonstration. He did a really good job. I'm really impressed with him. So the very first booth we went to, we were looking at shotgun microphones, because one of the things that we do, and I'll pull this up on a separate window and show you guys, one of the things that we do is we have people participate in our live streams, and they participate live at the soundstage. And one of the we have a really nice microphone that they use. But it's a Shure, SM? No, I forget which one it is. It's something. But anyways, I'll pull up the actual full service, because I want to show you. Let's see where. Not last week's, I guess. Because last week's was pre-recorded. Here we go. All right, so we have somebody, for example, reading scripture, and they go up and boink. They go up behind a microphone and read. And I don't mind this. But what I really like is to just get rid of the microphone. And how do we do that? How do we accomplish that job? Well, we could suspend a microphone from the ceiling or prop it up from the ground and just say, stand on the X on the stage. Zone 1 is that blue X that's on the stage. And stand there and read out, enunciate, read clearly, and we will handle the audio. That's what I really think this company might be able to help us out with. And the microphones that we were using were quite impressive. So, if it's a production scenario, so we'd want a shotgun microphone, something. I looked at the CS2, the CSR2, and not the CS3, I don't think. But this one is long reach, directional, with great rear rejection, which is what we want. We want to reject any of the slapback sounds or anything like that. This might be Jim. Yes, that's Jim there. So wow, he was there 10 years ago. So this is the guy that we talked about. He's still in the business. He just said, I'm trying to not be in the business as much as I am these days, but he still is. Well, this microphone was really impressive. We put our headphones on, and we were able to listen live what it sounded like on the floor. And then him and I were talking in front of it, and it was crystal clear as the floor will give us. And then he just walked to the side of it, and I could barely hear him. And then he walked to the back, and it was complete rejection, which was very, very impressive. So then I gave the headphones to my friend Dave, and Jim continued to walk around, and I was talking in front. And he was like, man, you are like Dave said, you are really clear. And then, the rejection is really, really good. So the CSR2 rear rejection, let's try, no, not Sweetwater. Let's go B&H. All right. CSR2. Sanken. All right, so it's $1,500 in stock. And like I said, worked really well indoors, which is, I know, like shotgun microphones, big no-no to shoot things indoors. I have, the Rode NTG2 that we could try this out on. But this microphone doesn't perform like that one does. It's a good mic. It just isn't that good. And so I think, for testing purposes, hey, does our room really give us the luxury to use a shotgun microphone? And then if it sounds somewhat good with the Rode, then we could rent the Sanken microphone. From, let's see, does Lens Rentals do that? Lensrentals.com. Sanken CRS2. Do we have, no. Is it supposed to be CSR? No. So Sanken is not even on here to rent, but we could find one to rent. Zach says, good morning. Good morning, Zach. How are you? Welcome to the show. Steven says, hey, I've used Sanken mics a few times. They're really, really good. I've been very impressed. They have awesome lav mics, too. They're really awesome. Oh, we use shotgun mics all the time indoors. So, this is almost confirming it for me that let's go to actually the Sanken page, shotgun mics, 3-pin, brand, see all. Sanken has 9. All right, so ultra compact shotgun, CS1. I don't really need it to be moisture resistant. That's not going to be what we're doing. The CS3 short shotgun, CS2 mono, $1,000. CS2 rear rejection. This is one that I really want to do that, and I need to put it on my purchase list of things that we saw. But the rear rejection stuff was very impressive. And do they have a rear rejection shorty? No, just ultra compact. So the one that I think I'm looking at then is this guy, which is the one that I pulled up originally. And I need to put that on my to purchase list because I definitely want to purchase that. Here we go. So it was a Sanken CSR2 rear rejection mic. We usually and I should put the website in here just to yoink. Copy. We don't really need 2 to start. We really need 1. Sometimes we use 2 zones on our stage, but that's actually we do that less often than it's probably not $1,500 worth of doing that. But yeah, this with a proper mount. The other question then is, do you use a ceiling mount or what? And we'd have to see. All right, let me go back here. My main audio guy has a full kit of Sanken mics. Oh man, that's cool. Hey, Jono, what is going on? Jeremy, how are you? Good to see you. I'm so sorry that you were not at the show. It would have been great to see you over there. But you guys would have been busy because Resi had a busy booth when we showed up. So that's great. Hey, finally got you sold on Sanken. I guess so. I had to go and hear it for myself on the show floor at NAB. And yes, I was very impressed with that product. I was also very impressed with the company because they took the time to really explain it. Whereas we went by Sennheiser, we went by Shure, and they were just like, we're too big to care. So, I mean, I still like Sennheiser microphones, but Sanken really kind of impressed me with their presentation. Hey, that's the lav I've always been pushing on you. Sanken lavs are just awesome. The trick to make sure that the shotgun isn't aimed at a hard surface that will reflect back, then you're golden. Overhead indoor shotguns are the way to go for all my documentary shoots. See, our go-to shot for this microphone is this and this. And so it would be out of the shot for mic 1. We could hang it and point it down. The problem is that it's not a carpeted surface, and that back wall is a porous, see this porous brick? And so I would need to figure out, I think actually I don't know, we would test it before we made it permanent, but pointing it down over the subject or pointing it up at the subject, like from a stage monitor or something like that, right? So these are the two shots, and yeah, there's kind of a lot to think about there. But that's what the angle is. So Lens Rental doesn't have any Sanken mics, so we'd have to buy it. This is the one, though, that I'm pretty sure that I want, is the rear rejection. Now, there may be a bit of a training period, because when we first started putting the words up on the screens for people to read, that there was like an adjustment period there. And then when we... what else do we do? We changed a couple of things, and there's an adjustment period. There's a couple of... we put iMag up on the screens. Because what was happening was the gal that was kind of doing all the jobs that I do, but she was part-time, so clearly overworked. She was creating basically two services. So one she was making that was for the stream, and then another she was making for the in-house. And we kind of went back and forth a little bit. I was like, why are you doing that? And she said, well, we want something on the screens for people to look at. I said, well, you just put the cameras up on the screens. And like, forget this making two services. And she said, well, it's kind of nice to have, something to look at. So it took us about a month for the church to get used to seeing what we were putting out online up on the screens next to the stage. And I don't know if I have a good shot of that. Actually, I might have done a wide shot. Yeah, here we go. So, whoops. You can't really see them in this shot either. But, we have a full stage. This is the full stage. And then right off the cameras are two screens. And so they are seeing this image that you're seeing. They're seeing that image on those screens. And my push for that was, I want the people at the soundstage to still be seeing the final product that everyone else at home is seeing. And so this was a way for us to integrate and for them to see. And of course, then we went SDI right to the screens and Blackmagic conversions to HDMI. And then the latency was basically as low as I could get it. But the iMag, it was a little jarring at first because they were using HDMI over Ethernet. And that was not fun. It was like a half a second delayed and too distracting for even my technical guy. So then we went to full SDI all the way down there, and it's been amazing. So SDI all the way for lowest latency. So hang them from above and then just adjust the angles that it doesn't have a plane of direct reflection. Okay. Yeah, that would be doable. Because we could hang it off to the side, and point it at this carpet. and that would be great. And then people could just stand there and talk. But yeah, the actual readings, this right here, you know, it would be off camera. We never go to a wide shot when we're doing close-ups on this. And we do that too, like they do communion or whatever, and we these are all videos. But anyways, same idea is even if you have multiple people, get the microphone out of the shot and focus on the person. Make the frame, right? Make the image about the person who's engaging with the camera or the scripture or whatever is going on. So that's my goal. Remove the distractions. And it goes actually into this greater conversation that I have about we need to probably get rid of the things that are on stage that are also distractions, like banners or words or things like that. So that's a greater conversation about what do we use in this space for? And that's going to go into the green screen conversation one day. But another setup would be a KM 184 XY stereo set. Not sure if Senkin has a comparable setup. I'm going to have to look up those mic numbers because I don't know anything about that. Hey, I'd be curious if switching to the SMPTE 2110 firmware for the Blackmagic Studio camera converters changes the latency. I mean, there's probably got to be some latency introduced because there is actually a conversion going on. But we are going... Oh, I see what you mean. Go SMPTE 2110 from camera to converter and then out the converter. Yeah. I don't know. We don't have any perceptible latency. Like it's all real time. So which means it's under 60 frames, right? So I don't know. I haven't measured it, but I don't really know if I care that much. Because the iMag and the crowd, full disclosure, the crowd that is in the soundstage is not our priority. The crowd that's watching online is our priority. So, and for a church, that's backwards, but we're an online church. We're not an in-house church. Which is why we went to NAB. You know, there are a lot of churches at NAB, but our focus is cameras and soundboards and all that stuff. So we did get a chance to go by the Allen and Heath booth. I didn't do any videos or anything on it, but just to see their new series, and they're quite nice, just kind of still expensive. I'm referring to the new firmware that Blackmagic just released this week. Yeah, they changed the technology that the two use to communicate. Oh, so is that a forced change? I didn't know that. I look at our NDI feeds versus my SDI feeds recently. I was shocked at how low latency NDI was. Yeah, I mean, NDI HX is very impressive now. I asked Dan, what is it? You know, what is HX3 now compared to full? And he's like, it's half of what full NDI is. Which I didn't ask. Hey, where's your full NDI camera line? We had a lot to catch up on, but it seemed like they weren't doing anything. I thought if they were going to launch a full NDI camera, they were going to do it at this show, and they did not. So instead, they launched Mackie Live. Their keyboard basically got a proper launch, marketing launch, and they have a new control surface that's kind of like an ATEM for NDI, and it's pretty cool. It's got some interesting. It's an integration of some software, basically, but it's a physical keyboard that allows you to do live switching. And the first thing out of my mouth was, does it do auto switching? And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, based on audio thresholds, can it switch cameras for you? Because the Rode Videocaster does that. And there are several products on the market that do that. And he's like, well, here are the actual audio levels. And I said, okay, so you're like 80% of the way there. You just have to introduce audio thresholds and then auto switch to the camera. I said that honestly, for programmers, that shouldn't be too hard because the information's already here. After you get over at 20 decibels on a camera, go to cam 1 after 2 seconds. You know, have a minimum delay on a camera so you're not switching all over the place. Somebody's like, yeah. It's not like cam 1, cam 3, cam 2. But have a minimum amount of time where the audio has to be predominantly on one of them. But outside of that, they're pretty much there already. They had the audio meters on the product, and I thought, okay, you know, you're pretty much there. I told CJ, you're pretty much there, it looks like. You just need somebody to integrate it. the Mackie Studio Control Surface is what was announced, and so let's go. I'll jump over there and we can have a quick little look. Kind of cool. It's a cool little device. $700. It gives you the ability to assign whatever sources you want. You know, it is. I was able to kind of learn it quickly. We'll talk about Mackie Live in a second here, but this little control surface was kind of a really cool thing to see. It's all wireless, which is kind of neat. It can be neat, you know. I do have an NDI wireless network here in my office right now. I just don't have any wireless NDI sources, so I'm going to work on that. But the buttons are nice. Like, they feel really good. Like, they've paid attention to the customer experience. You can download the software for free for your iPad, but you need the control surface to really make it do something. So there you go. There's like this new little bird dog surface, and if anybody wants to send me one to test, be happy to try it out and really give it a good go. But there you go. Kind of a neat idea. We can talk briefly about Mackie Live. I'll go back to their NAB announcements. So, you know, Mackie Live was really the flagship, it seemed like, that they were pushing, and basically it's a mini version of Mackie, and it's got, you know, this. I asked Dan flat out, all right, what are you the most excited about? And he said, I'm excited about Mackie Live. And I said, okay, ooh, that's a cool little package. I like that. And I said, all right, why? You know, and he says, well, basically it's everything that we have really been trying to do, like bird dog standards, in the smallest form factor we could possibly come up with, it at the lowest price. Now, this is $500 before tariffs, so I'm assuming they're going to go up here soon. But 4K optical zoom, so we've got a 4K cam. Stream anywhere, no cables required. 6-hour battery life. All right, I don't care about the batteries so much. AI gesture, which is something that everyone's doing, so that's cool that they were able to do that. Use it as USB-C webcam if you want, which is, Dan said, that's my webcam now as a Mackie Live. NDI and SRT enabled, so you could go direct SRT, you know, through a cloud service. HDMI output. Oh, you can do wired if you would prefer, which I would prefer. Is that PoE? I don't know. Recording. Record directly to an SD card, micro SD. Tally lights, multicam ready, and we're already around the horn. So, okay. Get the bundle. I was like, so is this all going to be bundled? And they're like, yeah, there'll be a bundle. So if you wanted to just have like a little quick setup studio, this might be the way that you want to do that. So let's view on YouTube real quick and pause. All right, let's see if you can hear this. Carbs. Speaking of sushi, what does this have to do so much about the camera? I mean, I'm assuming all of these shots are on the camera, but I'm not learning much about the camera other than the pictures. So it's the size of a sushi roll. Is that what I'm understanding? All right. Interesting. Is there another video for Mackie Live? Like an actual promo that talks about tech specs or what? I don't see anything on their site. Videos, latest, no. So nothing yet. and nothing from actually NAB on Bird Dog's website. So NAB is over, and you would think that they'd have some stuff up there, but maybe not. So maybe we could go over to the YouTubes and just type in NAB 2025, NAB 2025 Bird Dog. Check. All right. NAB 2025 Bird Dog. Who is he with? Okay, he's with Dan. So we've got Kit Plus has done some videos, 2 videos for them. The best cinema cameras at... Why did this come up? Okay, weird. Bird Dog Connect redefines remote editing. Again, Kit Plus. Oh, look who it is. Look who it is. Bird Dog at NAB 25. So am I the only one that's got something up here about them, really? Like, Kit Plus has done some stuff. But...
So we're here at NAB 2025. We're still on the Bird Dog stand doing one of 3 videos here, speaking to Dan.
We've had as well. So the camera is called Marquee Live. Now, I've got one here, this little guy. Marquee actually is, it refers to the fact that it's like a maki roll, like a sushi roll. It's kind of the same size and shape as a sushi roll.
Yep.
To give you a bit of a scale using these cameras.
Okay.
The cool thing with them is that they're battery powered and Wi-Fi as well. So you can run these things for 6 hours on Wi-Fi and do a production wherever your interest takes you. So.
And so, it's a little box camera, zoom.
Yep, so it's actually, and this is quite a unique feature about it actually, it's a 4K box camera. It's got an optical zoom in there.
Optical zoom.
Now it's a 3 times optical zoom, which allows you to frame up your shot quite nicely. It does have a digital zoom if you want to go further, but you're not going to find a little box camera like this with an optical zoom around. This is something we've worked very hard to kind of put that in there. So
there's a little ring of light around it.
That's right. We call that our halo tally. So it's, the idea behind this is actually twofold. It's evolved over the last 12 months.
Right.
Initially, it's a tally light. So when this camera is live, it'll go red, so you know which camera to look at.
I was going to say, so that indicates that there's a multi-camera solution going on here.
You got it, yes.
Yeah, okay,
so
all right.
I'll get to that in a moment. But the tally light, the cool thing with that is it draws the presenter into looking at the lens because it goes the whole way around the lens.
Hey, look, it's Christian
A lot of
Frink.
other tally lights are on the top.
Shout out to Frink!
And if they're close, you can see the eye lines just a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's great. But now what we've done, you might see in some of these videos, there's different colors. So you can choose whatever color you like on these. And that works really great for people that aren't in sort of traditional television broadcasts. So you might have a panel session and you just say to the panelist, look at the blue camera or look at the pink camera or the green camera, and they know which one's theirs. So it becomes almost like a signature.
So
on
see like, video podcast environments and things like that where they're not broadcast professionals. They're content creators
like
coming
me.
into a new world.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a professional.
Fantastic.
Trying to ease it as much as possible. And so on that multi-camera side of things, the next exciting thing about this Marquee Live announcement is its companion setup, which is called Marquee Studio. So Marquee Studio is a control surface, which we've got here. So it's a hardware controller.
That iPad says that it's running out of power.
Cameras, do dissolves, add titles over the top. And then we've got an iPad that actually is the brains behind it. So you just bring your own iPad. There's an application because it's entirely Wi-Fi. So it's
it's NDI.
It's NDI HX3 are the cameras.
Okay, cool. So, it's a cool little device. I think, I don't know if it's a part of their main fleet or if it's a pet project or what. Like if they're gonna keep doing iterations of it, but I'm not really too sure. Let me catch up on the chat here. Yeah, Blackmagic camera 9.4 beta. All right, I'm gonna need to update my cameras then. Rode Videocaster versus Bird Dog Switcher. Yeah, so it's called Mackie Studio, I believe is what it's called. Smart controller. Is that what we just watched? Oh no, that's the keyboard, I think. Anyway, I got the video, the Rode Video for my school. I really like it so far. That's the one that I want to do interviews on the road and make it quick. I want that one because that'd be really great. So don't eat your Mackie Live uncooked. Got it. Yes. Avoid doing that. That wouldn't be great. What was the best product that you saw at NAB? The best product for me or the best product, the best showing of products at the show. Those are two different things because I'm specifically looking for some stuff, whereas not everybody's looking for the same thing I am. But very curious as to just define that for me. I don't know if I could give you the best product at the show, period. There was so much stuff. But yeah, there is a lot to talk about over the next couple of months. Hey, yeah, you did a great job with your NAB videos. No one else really did. Oh, well, thank you. I just was like, all right, summary for everyone, right? Like here, I was just going to hold my little Insta360 Flow Pro 2 and did a little talk about. So that was fun. And the audio stuff, shout out to Angus and the crew here for helping me figure out clean audio. And I was able to just kind of match those up quickly in DaVinci in the evening and export those real fast to my desktop on my new laptop. And it was stinking awesome. So having a laptop at the show meant that I didn't have to wait until I got home to edit anything. So that was pretty nice. Yeah, so you and I like similar stuff. So your personal favorite. All right, well, my personal favorite was a company called Socially You, and they are actually out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And Socially You is a virtual production group. And what they do is they do these green screen, interviews or whatever, but then they put these realistic backgrounds behind them. And one of the things that you should see here, okay, you probably just saw it. This guy's doing a podcast interview with a guy that was in Melbourne, Australia. And they, you can basically say, like, I need this to be in a classroom or in a business office or whatever, and virtualize it. And they don't do green screen powered by Unreal Engine, which was basically everyone else that I saw. They do have that option, but that's not their thing. What they do is they put a real video background behind their subject, and then they green screen it out, and it's very good. Like, I told them this fixes the corniness, the hokiness, and the guy was like, hokiness, that's the word. He said, it feels hokey. It feels fake. It feels disconnected. He said, this fixes that problem. And I was like, yes, it does. So I was quite excited. Oh yeah, that shot, it shows her like sitting down on the rocks, and she's in a studio. She's not outside. So it's a pretty cool thing. This gentleman I met him in 22. He came by the booth to see our cameras and stuff. And then I got to actually shake his hand and be like, hey, we met in 22. I was with Bird Dog back then. And now I'm, with a nonprofit. And he was like, oh, nice to meet you. So he showed me he's the mastermind behind the Unreal Engine part of things, which is still extremely impressive. But what they do is they can set up a background, like a coffee shop or whatever, but they just go and film the coffee shop. And this was such a cool idea. And so they were using Blackmagic Ultimate 4K green keyers, keyers, really. They were using that to do their stuff. And man, it was impressive. It was really cool. So shout out to Socially You. They definitely made an impression on me. Oh yeah, did you see the Bird Dog bought best of show at NAB? Did you see the Bird Dog got, yes, best of show at NAB. I don't know how official some of those awards are, but good for them. That's a big thing. I know that it showed up on social media, right? So if I jump over to Facebook, I think there's a picture of Dan with them, Bird Dog, and I seriously can't be happier for these guys that they're starting to make some waves. Yeah, here it is. So they're starting to turn some heads in the industry, and so that's great. Best in show product at NAB 2025. This was for the keyboard, and that is Dan at the helm, and Christian Frink with CJ as backup driving that ship. So shout out not only to Dan, but shout out to CJ and Christian for making that product as good as it is. Because let me tell you, what I said in the video is still true. I went back on day 3, Tuesday morning, and said, I need to touch the keyboard. I need to see this thing. Holy smokes, guys. It's not Gen 1. It's not Gen 1. It's not Gen 1. It's not Gen 1. It's totally different. The control on that thing, like the motor, the fine tuning, especially the super fine control, which CJ was sure to show me, is not Gen 1. It's so precise. It's alive. It's actually a live keyboard, and as long as your NDI network's proper, it seems to be the right keyboard for NDI control. So, bravo. I didn't quiz them on other protocols. I didn't do any of that. But I have used Gen 1 keyboards for many years, many firmware iterations, many betas, many alphas, many final firmwares, many. This is not Gen 1. This is not Gen 1. I wish you were at the show to get your hands on it, but if you're looking to do a proper NDI keyboard, Bird Dog has it. Bird Dog has that keyboard in its current form. So I can confirm that. Hey, that's good. Yes, it is. It's not Gen 1. So there's big shout out here, Dan, for driving that ship, but the two guys that were insistent on it being excellent, Christian Frank, CJ. Those two guys need to have their drinks paid for. Well done, gentlemen. Well done. Very proud of you guys. And yeah, really happy for them. All right. Let me think. So my favorite product, to answer you, Jeremy, my favorite product is probably that Ultimate 4K. Because why? Because it sparked a lot of creativity in my brain as to like, oh shoot, like we could go a very long way with that. We could go a very long way with that. And so I'm most intrigued. Blackmagic, and by Socially You, I mean they were the ones that sparked my, and that was on Monday afternoon. Like we were leaving, it was 5:30, and the guy his eyes were bloodshot. He was so tired. He was coding things the night before, and he was standing there with a Red Bull and a Snickers bar, and I just thought, man, this guy looks exhausted. Here's the video. Let's force 1080p here. He's doing a virtual camera back. He's doing 3 cameras with a virtual background. And see how the background moves? That's a video. But when you move to camera 2, you got to, oh, come on, guys. When you move to camera 2, you got to go to video 2. So that's why you need a hyperdeck for you need a hyperdeck for the video to record the interview. You need a hyperdeck to show the background, and then you need the Ultimate device to merge those two signals together to do the proper keyer. So, but like this would be so fun. This is like your typical church preacher, you know? You could do this all with one camera so far, with one set of gear. I have the audio muted, by the way, just in case you guys are wondering. Yeah. Oh man. So shout out to Socially You. I wanna put them up here. Really a cool company. They're working like mad scientists over there. This shot is her just sitting on the ground. But you know what's really cool about this shot is her shadows are accurate. So these shadows come across inside the studio as well. You just need to light your green screen correctly. And who knows how much the green screens are. I wish I had taken a picture of the booth. Now that I think of it, there may have been a if they're over on Facebook or something, they may have a at NAB socially you. Groups, pages. Here they are. So let's like their page. And then do they have... This is the guy right here.
Real-time green screen is hard. We know because we've been through it. We spent years figuring out how to make it look amazing, consistent. Studios reach out to us every week saying, we just can't get our virtual production to look like yours. They've got the gear, they've built something great, but something still isn't clicking. That is why we've created...
This is the guy. He even looks tired in that video. Pro Psych, that's who it is. So, reveal at Pro Psych's booth. These were the green screens that they were using. And how much are they? Who knows? Come on now. Wall kits, portable green screens, green screen flooring. Don't know if I would need green screen flooring. Featured. Oh, it's $1,000. That's not bad. 20-foot wide. This is what you would use for your stage. You know. And get a little more expensive. They do like walls. They had like a curved wall. It was really impressive. Green screen and white studios paint. There you go. So if you want to paint your space, green screen. Anyway, let's go back, and I know B&H had some stuff. So they have the paint, and they have the green screen. Portable. That thing's huge. Huge. I would want a floor model. You know, one that went down. Ooh, that's cool. Oh, that's a big screen. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. And, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Linus Tech Tips have a video on it about a year or so ago. Title of the video is Our Studio Was a Huge Waste of Money. As curious as the average Joe can get the same results, anytime we did high production chroma stuff, there almost always seemed to be a color bleed on the subject. Yeah, so their subjects were really close to the camera, and their green screen was really far away. So that provides you with that separation. Whereas like in these pictures, for example, the subject is sitting closer to the back, and you're going to get that green bleed on his shoulders. But what they did, the live subject they had at the show, which I wonder, they show any of that? They should have put stuff on from the show. So let me go to my photos real quick and see if I can find. I may have taken a picture of the gal sitting right here. This shot. And you can barely see it. Here's the rig. See this girl sitting here? She was alive. She was in the studio. But their background, so the cameras are like pretty close, which is where I would begin with this. But the cameras are pretty close to her, and the lights are on her and like proper. And then the green screen was way behind her, like easily 10 feet behind her. And then they keyed that out, and they had that lit all correctly and everything. I learned that we need to do a bit of color on the back light to overcome the bleed. Yeah. Or put your subject closer to the camera away from the green. You know, depends on how bright you're lighting the green as well, because that will reflect if it's too bright. Lots of cool tutorials on how to do an infinite wall and just paint the chroma background. Interesting. These guys told me that they weren't actually storing their background videos on-prem. They were pulling them from Blackmagic Cloud. Now, they have a subscription to Blackmagic Cloud, apparently, of 24 terabytes. Because because you can see it on cloud. Oh, that's it here. That's just the actual physical. But anyways, they're like, yeah, we're just pulling them down from cloud, and they're not actually stored here locally. So they didn't have their hyperdecks weren't transmitting or receiving. They were all doing cameras. But anyway, it was so fascinating to see it live. And I told Dave, I was like, there, now it doesn't look fake. That's what we want. We don't want it to look fake. We want it to look real. And that's how you do it. If you wanted to get into green screen, because right now our videos are the weekly videos are all kind of the same, and that's fine for what they are. That, you know, it's not too hard to look at. But the problem that we have here is they are similar, and it's hard to differentiate. Like it's just Patrick's office, and although that's fascinating enough, it's just not very interesting to look at. So the lighting's okay. It's literally his phone is how he's filming this. So the next question is like, how do we make this to where this is interesting to look at? And the way that I'm thinking about it is we're going to just have him in a green screen studio, and he can just hit the sequencer. It'll power everything on, and then he can hit a big red easy button that starts the recording. He sits down and he does it. He stands up and he hits the button and it stops it. And then he either flips the switch or leaves it running. I don't know. But we'll figure all out the details in the future. But yes, I definitely want to I want to make this more engaging than just what it is. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff to think about. Yeah, a lot of stuff to think about. All right. See, I'm caught up in the chat. It's 11:30, so we probably should wrap this thing up here. Next week, we're going to talk about black magic, because that was the big thing that we went and discovered, and I have about 6 things at black magic that we need to talk about. We talked a little bit about the ultimate keyer, which is something I'm very interested in, but we also need to talk about some lenses. We need to talk about cloud, which is going to be huge for us. We need to talk about encoder decoders, and we need to talk about hyperdecks. And so there's lots to kind of cover. Lots to cover. We'll be placing an order, or have placed an order this week. And so we will definitely be receiving some gear to start our first phase of purchase. But basically, we went to Blackmagic and they confirmed for us a more efficient way to do it with less gear. And I'm all about that. So looking forward to seeing what we can kind of come up with. How related are the Gen 1 keyboards to the Bolin keyboards? They're totally different companies. They're black. That's about how normal. Okay, so on the Gen 1 keyboards, you know, the buttons are mushy. These ones actually click. Like there's a tactile. Each button is an actual button. It's not a contact on the board. Whereas Gen 1 was just a flat board with just contacts, and you'd push the mushy button down and it would make contact with it and bridge the button. These ones are buttons. They actually click. They have like a nice tactile feel to them. And also the joystick is similar to Gen 1, but it has a fair bit more resistance, so you can really fine-tune your speed movements. The feedback on the little LCD screen, man, my nose is like so itchy for some reason. The feedback on the LCD screen is really nice. There are some shortcuts to make video feeds full screen real quick, and it's fast to pull presets now. It's just a 1-button push instead of 2. There's 6 camera recall buttons, so if you have the 6 camera shoot, they can all have their own independent buttons, which now are 1-button pushes, which is the way it should be. There is an actual usable button on top of the joystick, which is great. That I forget exactly what that feature is, but I'll look it up. But yeah, the Gen 1 keyboard is easily outshined by the current Bird Dog keyboard. Hey, there's only 6 things? Yeah, I'll think of more. But next week we're going to do Blackmagic. The following week I'll talk about Bird Dog. But yes, Blackmagic, there is so much to talk about, and we are getting ready to go. So we're getting ready to buy some stuff. Looking forward to the future. Now, a lot of Blackmagic stuff is announced but not out. They were showing it at the show, but it's not available for purchase until like July, August, somewhere in there, when everything will really be out. So more on that later. But we're pretty amped up because we got some answers. Comms is something that we need to talk about because the comm system we have right now from Saramonic is working, but it's not great. And you may have caught my tone in my video that we went there with some questions and they didn't really have any answers for us. So that was a bummer. That was a real bummer. I was hoping that they would have more for us than what they did. And instead they just kind of like, look at our new stuff. And we were like, no, we just bought this stuff. Like, what's up with it? Have you seen One Button Studio? No. I have not seen that. One Button Studio. This guy has some neat studio setups. One Button Studio, many possibilities. Record presentations, lectures, and studios. Okay. Let's have a little look and see what can One Button Studio do for you. Alrighty. So that was cool. iPad control, remote management, One Button Studio, using One Button Studios in class, the digital shift, record presentations, lectures, and more in the studio. Preview recordings and choose just what you need. Save quickly to flash drives via speedy USB 3. Okay. Well, that would definitely be something we'd be interested in. But no, I have not seen this before. So I like the button. I would want that. Not nearly as nice as what you're looking at, but his studio setups are neat. Yeah, I mean, what I need is the ability for my non-techie pastors to walk in and hit a button and then sit down and just take a beat and then start and then stop at the end of their lesson, look at the camera, give me time to do a fade out, and then get up and press the button and it shut down stop the recording. And then, like I said, if I was recording to a hyperdeck, then I could just leave that on all the time and just then send that video up to the cloud, and I could pull it down here in the production booth, my office, and render it here with the ultimate and the backgrounds and a hyperdeck in here as well. So yeah, there's some options. Oh, if I say this out loud, I might actually do it. I am going to revamp this desk because I'm out of space and it's messy and it's clunky and it doesn't make any sense. So it may not really change what you see here, but I'm going to overhaul this desk because it is time and it's a mess. And so we need to bring my screens down. I want to strip all the wires away. I want to consolidate my rack to be one rack and not two spaces. And there's going to be some work done here. So if I say it out loud, then I need to, then I might actually do it. Yeah, I might actually even program the one button. So when he clicks it, when he's done, it says, well, that was easy. That would be funny. I would love that. And my instruction for him would be like, just when you're ready to go, hit the record button, go and sit down, look at the monitor, make sure you can see yourself just fine, and then begin. And when you're done, stay for 2 or 3 seconds or like look down at your notes like you're finishing up, and then stand up and hit the button and be finished. And that would be amazing. I would love it. Love it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that option because it's going to give us a chance to open that up to other people, right? Like we've been trying to figure out like, what does this look like? How do we introduce new faces, new voices? Well, like we can really make this look professional and bring people in and make it gripping, So, hey, we're going to hold you to that, John. Desk revamp. Okay. I'm going to do it. Just when. I didn't say when. I need to do it soon because I hate the way that this feels. And I want to I never take this freight case anywhere, for example. So I want to get everything out of that, the audio equipment, and get that into that rack. I've got more use coming for in the future, in the very near future. So I want to like get that to where it's all kind of in the same spot, but it can't go here. The desk has to go over, and then this needs to come over here onto this side. So now I'm all excited to do that project. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Thanks a lot. Sounds like Stream Deck single button configuration or X keys, because X keys has that click click button that, you know, is supposed to be like a big old easy button. That's what I want. I'm just gonna. Oh, I did stop by X keys, and I recorded a video, but I forgot to press record. So I'll talk about X keys when I'm doing some of the minor booths. So like, there's going to be a week on Blackmagic. There's going to be a week on Bird Dog. There's going to be a week on Peplink, and there's going to be a week on one more. No, I can't remember. Let me look at my list. Hang on. Well, never mind. I'll figure it out later. But then there will be also a wrap up with, I can just go here. Hang on. Your videos. All right. Blackmagic, Bird Dog, Peplink, and maybe Resi, to be honest with you, Jeremy. Because Resi was like, well, if you upgrade your subscription, you can do all of this stuff. And I guess it's pushing the 10,000 foot thought conversation about how do we really we don't really want to rely on YouTube and Facebook to allow us to stream. We would rather need to use social media to kind of gather the flock, but then funnel them into like our website or, you know, an account or something like that. So we're thinking about shifting to that. And we would love to do the QR code, like, hey, join our congregation on our website. And also then we could embed an RTMP stream, which would then not be rendered through YouTube, but would look really nice because our streams on like X look amazing compared to YouTube. But YouTube compresses and Facebook compresses, and it's really annoying. And Facebook's like, after 30 days, we're taking it down. So it's like, okay, cool. So you're not really going to help us. So what we want to do is embed our video onto our main page, like Sunday service, you know, make that our main hub, but then have a secondary like videos page that then has our embedded Resi video library. And so we should talk. So funny because at the show, I was like, is Jeremy here? And they were like, no, he's not here at this show. I was like, nuts. It's like, I'd love to chat with him. And they're like, well, we'll have your sales rep reach out to you. And I was like, can it be Jeremy? And they're like, well, we'll see. And I was like, because I know him. Like, you're not hearing me. Change it to Jeremy because he's the guy that I talk to all the time about Resi, and he helps us with our account and stuff. Like, can it be him? And they're like, well, we'll reach out to your rep and we'll see. And I was like, no. Make it Jeremy. You're not hearing your customer. Make it Jeremy. Anyways, pastors need that tactile feedback. On, off, you know, big red light, go. Yeah. Hey, man, let's do it. We should do a live in-person lunch and learn event. For sure. That would be great. I could bring you in either, multiple ways, I guess, but vMix caller or whatever we want to do. Stream Deck or not Stream Deck, StreamYard. Yeah, that'd be fun. Wait, I am your rep. What? Maybe it got changed because I was like, yeah, hey, but if you're my rep, then great. That's awesome. You're in the South, right? Come on. You travel through around here all the time. All right, folks. Well, I can just chat about NAB the whole time. Man, it was a great show. It was so much fun. Dave and I had a good time. Dave said, first day I was quite overwhelmed with just like the massiveness of all of the stuff. But he said, but then we found at the end of day one, what did we find at end of day one? End of day one, we found Canon stuff. Oh, we learned how, we talked to some reps from Manfrotto and from another German company that's like, let me look. Video tripods, not Manfrotto. I know that's like the one that I kind of got hooked on them because MKBHD talked about Manfrotto. And so I was like, oh, cool. Like he likes them. Maybe I should like them. But then there was one that starts with an S. It's a German company. Sachtle. Their tripods were the next level. And even the Manfrotto guy was like, well, then if you up your game to one of those heads. And we were like, okay. Because we just couldn't get our Manfrotto heads to work correctly. But we have like one of the more expensive ones that they make. But he was like, you're at the top of the line. You're right underneath the nitro piston one. But he's like, you're at the top of the line for Manfrotto pretty much. And so the next one would be you're to go to something like the Sachtler heads. And he's like, they would be the next level for you. And they were beautiful. So it'd be really good. Your rep. Yeah, I was living as one's second customer. I usually just call Paul directly. Hey, man, what church, Chad? Originally South Bay Church, now known as Echo. Heart that. I joined the team in 2020, still living as one. Paul sent us his HP laptop before the rack units even existed. Amazing. You guys are having a full-on conversation. It's all good. That's what it's here for. Drive that chat number up. So anyways, where is there? Yeah, these fluid heads from this company were ridiculous. Yeah. And super smooth. But little surprise on day one is we got an education from one of the reps about how to change our Manfrotto head so that he's like, probably what you're doing is this and not this. And he showed us and we played around and we were like, oh, this is good enough to not have to invest another several $1,000s into this. So I believe, no, we don't have this one. Professional, brand, Manfrotto, yoink, apply. We have the HD ones, whatever they're called. Fluid head A's. This sounds familiar. Anyway, it's not really a huge deal. But he showed us basically, here's what you do every time you walk up to your camera. Here's how you level it. Here's how you set up your, here's how you set it up proper. And that was very helpful because it's not that one. Because we have been struggling with it ever since. And maybe like this guy. Where's that? Yeah, it looks something like this. But anyways, nah, that's not it though. Burnt. I don't know what the deal is here. Why can't I find it's maybe I should just look at the price. 504X. This is it. Yeah. And he said this is the one. This is right before you get to the piston ones, but this is the one that we have. And he showed us how to use it, and yeah, it was night and day. We were like, oh, yeah, we need to go back now and play with those. So Sunday's going to be a new day. That's for sure. It's going to be a new day. And so day one, we walked out of the show really excited about what we had learned because we felt like we definitely had taken something away from the floor and not spent a dime to learn it other than the cost of getting to the show. But we weren't expecting to learn that, and we did. And so then we were kind of excited about that. And then day two, we went to Black Magic, and that really got us fired up. And then day three, we stopped by Pepling, and that really got us fired up. And so each day had these product highs, and there were a couple disappointments, like the Ceramonic booth. We flat out asked them, hey, what's up with the whistling battery charger that we have? And they're like, oh, look at our new camera or new headsets. And we were like, no. We were like, what's with the old ones? And they're like, no, don't make any more. Look at these new ones. And I was like, what is going on? We're your customer, don't sell me something new when your current product isn't working. And I understand that frustration because I heard that all the time at Bird Dog. So now they have a new keyboard from a new manufacturer, a new OEM, and they're fighting that, right? got to draw attention to us. We're no longer building that style of product. We're building this style of product. And there is a substantial difference. There's X1 was there, X4 was there, X5 was there, the Mackie Ultra was there, the Mackie Live was there, the little conference room one. I don't know what that one is. But anyways, I just thought it was cool. And I asked Bird Dog flat out, who is the Mackie Live for? Because I don't think there are that many content creators that are looking for like a 3-camera and a control surface setup. And he said, actually, they all said, actually, the people that have been showing the most interest in it, and a lot of interest, are the guys that do like press conferences. And they want to set up and take down real fast. They want a good image. They want multiple angles. But they don't want to spend 2 hours setting up their network. They just want to like boom, 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 turn on, and off they go. That's what they want. And I was like, okay. And they said, we've had multiple professional sports teams come by and say, there, that's what I just buy that package. That's what we're going to do. So cool. I hope that works really well and they get a lot of notoriety for it. And next year they're like, we can't keep these things on the shelf. That would be great. I would love to, hey, and Bird Dog, if you want me to review that, be happy to take 3 of those cameras and a control surface off your hands for a few weeks and try it out. So, no, just kidding. No, that'd be ridiculous. Anyways, all good. An amazing show, guys. I couldn't. Oh, and I was going to mention the other shows that I'm going to combine multiple booths into a single show. And so we're going to talk about Canon, Saramonic, Insta360, and then I'm going to talk about Netgear AV, and I'm going to talk about anybody else that I've forgotten, X Keys. So we'll do a whole wrap up of the small booths, but the next few weeks, the next month, will basically be a review of all of those. So, no, you should. Who should? What should I do? I've forgotten what I should do. The testing thing? Well, I got to convince somebody to send me a whole fleet of them if I'm going to do that. And I'm down, but that's they get Anthony for that. So I don't want to take away from their show. Anyway, I'm really happy about NAB. Seriously, what a great few days spent. Expensive food. Next time I'm going to take my own to like pack Lunchables, specialty Lunchables. But I might just take my own. But yeah, hey, you should get those cameras. I'll make some calls. If people are interested in that stuff, I'll make some calls. The really expensive food, but we had a really great show. And so I ate a lot of hamburgers. I ate 5 In-N-Out hamburgers over the course of 3 days. And I would do it all again. So good stuff. I didn't really get to hang out with anybody after shows. So maybe next time I'll arrange some meetings with people. It was amazing to see Will Waters, who I run into like once every couple of years. And that guy has so much going on, and he doesn't need to take the time. He doesn't need to make time for me, but he always does. And so much appreciated, man. Always appreciate that. Thanks for being a good friend all these years. And, Bird Dog guys were more than willing to chat and catch up. They're very generous with their time too. Black Magic let us stay as long as we wanted, film whatever we wanted. They were fun to hang out with. It was really cool. So you should have asked Rezi to take you out. Yeah, so Rezi, the poor gal that we stopped at Rezi, so we walked up and she's like, hang on, let me get Scott. Let me get Scott. He's the guy we really need in this conversation. But Scott was very busy. And so she was like, okay, well, I'll just take some notes. Well, like we were there for 45 minutes and she was just like, well, I don't, okay. Like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't know about that. And poor girl, I felt so bad. She offered a swag. So today I'm wearing my Rezi swag, Rezi shirt, and it fits perfect. And it's black, which is my color. So thank you, Rezi, for the swag. You guys were the only ones who gave us swag this week. And I will proudly wear this Rezi shirt because I think it looks amazing and it fits really nice. And so thumbs up to you guys for free swag. Always love that. And the In-N-Out is the gold standard. It really is, because we bought 2 meals for almost like less than $20. So now, granted, I didn't get fries and I only got a drink of water, but some days I was buying, 2 burgers a day. So that's weird. YouTube just said we're not getting enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So maybe I'm switching satellites right now. But anyways, yes, Resi, shout out to you guys for giving us swag. I love the shirt. It fits great. I will wear it every week. Yes, that would have been nice to chat without having to run off to the next thing. Seriously, we probably should. I should do better about planning out my evenings. The other thing is I was taking Dave for the first time to NAB, so I didn't want to, like, he wanted to walk the strip and he wanted to go and see the Bellagio, fountain things. And that was fine. I wanted to do that stuff too. Because when I was with Bird Dog, we didn't do any of that stuff. We went and had dinner and went to bed. So, well, some of us went to bed. So it was a busy, busy show. Okay, well, if we do a lunch and learn, I'll get you some more swag, like a lot more. Let's go. Yeah, let's do that. That'd be great. I would love to do some of that. Email me or send me a message on LinkedIn or something like that. Let me know what your schedule looks like. I'm happy to do that. And I'll bring you into the vMix production. So give us a chance to test out vMix Collar, because the last time I did it, it was crappy, but that was like 3 years ago. So yeah, we could give that a try, and I would love to sit down and talk about what Resi has to offer. So we'll do a whole show on Resi. We'll schedule that with Jeremy one day that he can be here, and that'll be great. All right, I think that's it. So watch. I'm going to jump into Canva, and I'm going to start churning out the schedule for the next month, and then we'll get after it. We'll do an NAB, not a boil down of NAB, and we'll also talk about then what Safe Harbor is doing what we're doing specifically and how we're integrating. Hopefully that, you can take what you can from that. But there's so much to talk about: audio, video, lighting, everything from like mounts, camera mounts, and video transmission, encoding, decoding, cloud, remote production. That's all on the table right now, and our brains are just so full. So I've been making lists of, oh yeah, and this, oh yeah, and this, and this, and this. So pretty excited about the future here. So all right, guys, I need to go. So much appreciated. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You guys are what make this show so much better. It's kind of boring when I'm just talking to myself. So thanks for jumping in the chat, being a good listening audience. And we're going to catch you guys next week. Same time, same place, right here, Thursday at 10 o'clock Central Time. So that would be 11 o'clock Eastern Time, which was my old spot back in the Bird Dog days. So come along for the trip. Let's have a chance to kind of distill what we saw, talk in depth about what we saw at NAB, and how my nonprofit might integrate that stuff, but maybe also where it might fit in for you. So we definitely hang out and talk more about that. Hey, you should do a live stream cast at the studio so that we can see what's up and chat in. You mean my studio in Brentwood? We could do that. I could do that. Like a studio tour. That'd be fun. Something that Blackmagic's coming out with is the ability to use the Blackmagic camera app to encode video up to the cloud and then come back to your production. And so they'll come to a decoder. So more on that later. But yeah, that'd be kind of fun to do, to be able to bring in sources. It's one of the, not phones necessarily, but it's one of the solutions we're looking at for remote. So all right, guys, I will go and bid you adieu, and thank you so much for hanging out with me. Be well, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you all in the next one next week, Lord willing, 10 o'clock Central, right here on YouTube. Take care of yourselves, guys.